Hi everyone, my name is Salar Akbar and I'd like to share a little bit about the travel study I was a part of at Middleton High School and how that experience continues to shape my career path today. It all started at the end of my junior year in 2018. I was fortunate enough to travel with Mr. Hartman and a wonderful group of students, some I knew and many I didn't, to Japan, a country I had already held in extremely high regard as I had been fascinated with Japanese culture since I was young. There are still so many vivid memories that I hold from that trip. I remember how different and futuristic Japanese infrastructure looked on that long bus ride from the airport to our hotel. I remember the famous tourist spots in Tokyo, both state of the art and historical, filled with endless seas of people that made every second feel so exciting. I remember the myriad cultural sites, gigantic Buddha statues, and all kinds of temples. And I remember the connections we got to make with local Japanese people. That last part is undoubtedly what left the strongest impression on me after our travel study ended. I felt so incredibly fulfilled trying to connect with local people through the strongest cultural barrier I'd ever experienced. A woman selling handmade souvenirs in a small town outside of Tokyo. A man who ran his own bar and restaurant, who initially refused service to us out of fear, but ultimately provided a delicious lunch after I convinced him that we'd all be respectful. A group of elementary school students who were visiting a temple in Kyoto the same time as us. I felt so incredibly fulfilled connecting with all of these people that I knew I wanted to one day come back and experience that again. Upon returning to the US, I quickly learned about a teaching program that has been run since the late 1980s by the Japanese government. Each year, they seek out native English speakers to live in Japan for 1 to 5 years to help elementary, middle, and high school students better learn English by acting as cultural ambassadors from all over the world. I knew that this was my ticket to get back to Japan. And with the only requirement to apply being that you have obtained a bachelor's degree, I had all the motivation I needed to earn mine. I majored in biology at the University of Wisconsin-Whitewater, as my chosen career path is to eventually be a physician. But I elected to include a minor in Japanese studies with the eventual goal of applying for the teaching job after I graduated and before applying to medical school. When I began my undergraduate program, we were still emerging from the pandemic, and in my first year, I found it difficult to get involved, and as a result, I struggled in my classes and adjusting to life away from home. Thankfully, however, my Japanese classes were always incredibly fun, and I rarely found myself disengaged, as I felt that one day what I was learning would be invaluable if I wanted to live in Japan. In many ways, my classes in Japanese were instrumental to me completing my biology courses and earning my degree, because they were a constant source of enjoyment and community throughout all my 4 years. And so, a few months before my college graduation, in my last semester in fall of 2025, I applied for that teaching program, and 8 months later, learned that I'd been hired and was going to teach English in a beautiful part of the country, and was going to be able to share my passion for Japan with all of the friends and family who'll visit me. And it must be said that although I initially thought my dream to live and work in Japan was unrelated to my overall goal of becoming a physician, I've come to realize that this experience will be very helpful when it comes to apply to medical school, as moving abroad and transitioning to life in a completely different culture with very different societal norms should serve as a great example of your ability to adapt and, most importantly, respect and appreciate cultures different than yours. In the end, I was privileged enough for my family to be able to afford me joining the Middleton High School 2018 travel study. And because of that experience, I discovered a clear path for my career after high school and got the motivation to achieve it to boot. But of course, not everyone is as fortunate as I was, and there are many students who are just as driven, interested, and passionate about traveling who deserve access to the same incredible experiences, but unfortunately don't have the financial means to participate in them. My story has made me firmly believe that experiences like a travel study can significantly impact a young student's personal and professional development. It's my hope that you consider contributing to supporting upcoming travel studies programs so that as many dedicated and passionate students as possible may have the chance to find their own spark that may shape their future, whether that's with their career like me or simply in their personal development as they make friends and experience cultures different than their own. Thank you so much for listening to my story, And all the best to those of you who are eager to travel somewhere and learn.